100 tons. That is exactly how much a mistake weighs if you are not careful reading the fine print. Most people think residential landlords are the scum of the earth. You know the type. The ones who paint over electrical outlets and refuse to fix the heating in the dead of winter. 100 tons. That is exactly how much a mistake weighs if you are not careful reading the fine print. Most people think residential landlords are the scum of the earth. You know the type. The ones who paint over electrical outlets and refuse to fix the heating in the dead of winter. But let me tell you something. As a lawyer who has spent the last 10 years swimming with sharks in the corporate world, if you think residential landlords are bad, they are nothing compared to commercial landlords. Commercial landlords are a different breed of predator. They do not just want your rent, they want your soul, your business, and every single dime you have ever saved. This is the story of how I met the cruelest landlord in the city. A man so greedy, he tried to crush a hard-working family business under the weight of a bank vault. And it is the story of how I used his own greed to crush him instead. My name is Sarah, and I specialize in reading the things people usually ignore. And trust me, in this city, ignorance is expensive. But revenge? Revenge is free, if you know how to draft the paperwork. It was the late 90s. The tech bubble hadn't burst yet, and money was flowing through the city like wine. Our law firm rented space in an old, historic building downtown. It was one of those places with marble floors, brass railings, and ghosts in the elevator shafts. In the basement of our building, there was a restaurant called The Vault. It was my sanctuary. The place was literally built inside an old bank vault left over from the 1920s. It was massive. We are talking walls of steel and concrete 3 feet thick. The atmosphere was incredible. You could eat your carbonara surrounded by rows of old gleaming safety deposit boxes. The owner, a man named Leo, was a sweetheart. He made the best espresso in the district and always saved a table for me. But one Tuesday, when I walked in for my usual lunch, Leo didn't greet me with a smile. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. His eyes were red, and his hands were shaking as he poured my water. "It is the landlord again, isn't it?" I asked, unfolding my napkin. Leo sighed, a heavy, defeated sound. "He is driving me insane, Sarah. He is demanding money for snow removal from 3 years ago. He is charging me for parking lot repairs that never happened. And now?" Leo pulled a crumpled letter from his apron pocket. "Now he is threatening to change the locks again." Our landlord, Mr. Henderson, was a nightmare. Picture a man who looks like he is made entirely of grease and cheap suits. He was a bully. In our jurisdiction, commercial landlords have terrifying power. They don't need a court order to evict you if you are late on rent. They just change the locks. And you show up to open your business, and your key doesn't turn. Game over. I took the letter from Leo. It was the usual garbage, intimidation tactics. But then Leo dropped the bomb. "I am moving the restaurant, Sarah. I found a new location. Better foot traffic, cheaper rent." But Henderson? He found out. "Okay," I said, scanning the document. "So you move. What is the problem?" Leo pointed to the back of the room, to the massive black steel door of the vault. "The lease. He says I have to restore the premises to their original condition." I stopped chewing. I looked at the vault. It was an architectural beast. "Wait, he wants you to remove the vault?" "He says if I leave it behind, he will sue me for the cost of removal and structural repair." "Sarah," I got a quote. "It weighs almost 100 tons, and to cut it out and remove it would cost more than I have made in the last 5 years. It will bankrupt me." I felt a cold spike of anger in my chest. This wasn't just business. This was extortion. "Send the lease to my office," I told him, standing up. "Let me see if I can find a crack in the armor." I walked down the hall to Aaron's office. Aaron was the older lawyer I shared space with. He was brilliant, chaotic, and knew everyone in the city, from the mayor to the local bookies. "Aaron," I said, leaning against his doorframe, I need a real estate agent, someone who can keep a straight face and likes easy money. Aaron didn't even look up from his paperwork. You buying a house? Nope. Selling a house? Nope. He took off his glasses and looked at me. You are pulling a stunt. Again. Yes, but it is for a good cause. We are going to sting Henderson. Aaron grilled. He reached for his old, dusty Rolodex and flipped through the cards. I know a guy. He owes me a favor. He acts the part perfectly. The next day, I met with the agent. I gave him the cash. I gave him a script. And I told him exactly what to do. But 3 days later, I went back to the vault for lunch. Leo met me at the door. He was sweating. He is here, Leo whispered. Henderson. He is sitting at table 4, eating a rack of lamb like a barbarian. Perfect, I said. Let's go to the vault room. I don't want to look at his face while I eat. We went into the back room, surrounded by the safety deposit boxes. I ordered the carbonara and a glass of red wine. Leo was vibrating with anxiety. Okay, I said, pulling a document out of my briefcase. Here's the plan. We are making a formal legal demand on Henderson. Leo looked confused. A demand? What are we demanding? We are demanding that he release all the restaurant equipment to you, the ovens, the freezers, the ventilation systems, everything. Leo shook his head. Sarah, the lease says I can take that stuff. It is my property. He can't stop me. The problem is the vault. I don't want the vault. I took a slow sip of wine. I know you don't want the vault, Leo, but Henderson thinks you have to take it. So, we are going to demand that he releases the bank vault to you as well. We are insisting that he allows you to dismantle it and remove it within 7 business days. Leo stared at me like I had lost my mind. What? Are you crazy? That is exactly what I can't afford to do. If he says yes, I am ruined. I have to pay to move it. He won't say yes, I said softly. Listen to me. We are going to use reverse psychology. We are going to treat him like a toddler who doesn't want to share his toys. But why would I want the vault? Because I leaned in, whispering, my agent has already contacted Henderson. My agent told him that he has a new tenant lined up, a credit union, a bank that is desperate for a downtown location with a pre-installed vault. My agent told Henderson that this new tenant will pay double the rent Leo is paying, but only if the vault stays. Leo's eyes went wide. The glass of wine slipped from his hand and shattered on the marble floor. You set him up? I gave his greed a target, I said. Now, clean up this mess. It is showtime. We walked over to Henderson's table. He was a mountain of a man, napkin tucked into his collar, grease on his chin. He looked at us with pure contempt. My client needs an answer today, I said, my voice sharp and professional. I didn't introduce myself. I just threw the paperwork on his table. I am the vault's legal counsel. We sent you a demand letter yesterday. My client is moving locations. He needs to take his property with him, including the bank vault. Henderson chewed slowly, looking from me to Leo. He needs the vault for his new location, I lied smoothly. It is a vintage piece, irreplaceable. We have a specialized team ready to extract it on Monday. We need your written permission to commence demolition of the wall to get it out. Henderson stopped chewing. I could see the gears turning in his head. He was thinking about the phone call from the agent. He was thinking about the credit union that supposedly wanted to pay double rent. He was thinking that if he let Leo take the vault, he would lose the new deal. Your client, Henderson said, wiping his hands on a soiled napkin, can forget about the bank vault. I feigned shock. I actually took a step back. Excuse me? That fixture belongs to the tenant history. You cannot deny him his property. Leo, bless his heart, looked genuinely terrified, which really sold the performance. Henderson laughed, a wet, ugly sound. I am the landlord. I can do what I want. The vault stays. It is part of the building. I am going to need that in writing, I said, narrowing my eyes, because my client will sue for damages. That vault is worth a fortune. Sue all you like, Henderson sneered. Sue until you are blue in the face. You will get my formal response by the end of the day. Now get out of my face and let me finish my lamb. I grabbed Leo by the arm and marched him away before he could faint. 2 hours later, a courier arrived at my office. It was a letter from Henderson's lawyer. It was aggressive. It was arrogant. It stated in no uncertain terms that under Clause 14, Section B of the original master lease, the landlord exercised his right to retain all structural improvements. It explicitly stated that the bank vault and all associated mechanisms were now the sole property of the landlord, and the tenant was forbidden from removing them. I read it twice. I smiled. Then I walked down to the restaurant. I handed the letter to Leo. "Congratulations," I said. "You just saved $100,000. Leo read it. He looked up at me, tears in his eyes. He claimed it? He wants to keep it? He thinks he has a bank moving in next month, I said. He thinks he just stole a valuable asset from you. But, there is no bank. No, I said. There is no bank. There is no credit union. There is just an empty basement and a 100-ton steel box that he now legally owns. The following month, Leo moved out. He took his ovens, his freezers, and his tables. He left the place broom-swept and clean, except for the vault. The vault stayed right where it was. Leo opened his new restaurant 20 minutes away. He called it the New Vault. It has the same vibe, better food, and 0 terrifying steel doors. A week later, I was walking into my building when Aaron grabbed my arm. "He is looking for you," Aaron whispered. "Who?" "Henderson. He is furious. He is foaming at the mouth. He said his deal fell through." "What deal?" I asked innocently. "The bank. The credit union. Apparently they never showed up to sign the lease. The agent's number is disconnected." I tried to suppress a smile, but I failed. Henderson cornered me in the lobby 2 days later. He looked smaller somehow, deflated. And the greed had turned into panic. "I know you were behind this," he shouted, his face purple. "I know it was you. That offer from the agent was bullshit. It was a trick to make me keep that damn vault so your client could sneak out." I adjusted my briefcase. "Mr. Henderson, are you accusing me of something?" "Because I have a letter signed by you claiming full ownership of that vault. You fought for it. You won it. It is yours." "I am going to sue," he screamed. "I am going to sue the restaurant. I am going to sue you." I stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for my floor. "You don't have a contract to sue on, Henderson. You have a vague conversation and your own greed. Good luck finding a tenant who wants a restaurant with a useless bank vault in the middle of the dining room." The doors closed on his screaming face. He never sued. Of course he didn't. No lawyer would take the case. He had voluntarily claimed the property in writing. That was 5 years ago. I moved offices eventually, but sometimes I walk past that old building. The sign in the basement window is faded and yellow now. It still says, "For rent." Nobody wants to rent a basement with a 100-ton paperweight. Sometimes, the best way to win a fight isn't to throw a punch. It is to let your opponent punch himself in the face.